All right, so let's talk about this part 2 of the review that was given on Tuesday, April 9th. Okay, so let's finish this up. This is the last three pages of this review. Which function is equivalent to this up here? So one aspect is you could graph all these, or ladies and gentlemen, you could just solve these up. So I'm going to solve by doing this little part first. So I'm going to use the box method. Okay, so it's going to be set up like this. X and 7. So this is x squared, 7x, and 49. So I know my setup is going to be -4, and then it is x squared plus 14x plus 49, and then it's going to be -6. So what I'm concerned with is ensuring that I know I'm going to have a larger number, and I know I'm going to have a middle piece. So since I know I'm going to have a middle, that's gone. And I'm not going to have 14 because I'm about to multiply this out. So I know that this is going to be a -56. The question is what is this back end going to be? So if I were to multiply this out, and as a taking a wild guess on this, this number here, so without using a calculator, 49 is close to 50. If I go 50 times 4, that's 200. And then if I were to subtract 4 back, that would be 196. Add 6 in, that'd be 202. Okay, I know it's not 172. Hopefully you guys understand my process of that, where this number is close to 50. So if I did this, I know my answer would be close to -200. And this is not close to -200, but that one is. So I know that's how I know the answer. 25, a paper airplane is thrown from the height. Put this graph in Desmos. Okay, so you would set this up. It's going to be negative. And just to let you guys know, we will be doing stuff like this very soon when, right after AzMerit, the next week after, we are going to be doing an Angry Birds project where we will be working on quadratic equations and making sure you guys can write all these up. Oh, this is supposed to be squared. All right, so here's the setup. So as you threw the paper airplane, okay, it's -1.5, oh, it's plus x. Okay, that's weird. 1.5x, where x is the time in seconds. How many seconds did it take for the airplane to hit the ground? So it isn't squared. I thought it was squared. My bad. All right. So as you go through here and you look, let's zoom out here, and you should get your answer of. Let me make sure. What is my question? Subscripts. Oh, whoops. My bad. Let me get rid of that completely. All right. So there's my answer. Let me go back home and then zoom out a little bit. So according to this, ladies and gentlemen, it took roughly 40 seconds to hit the ground. So that was a pretty good throw. Sketch the graph on the right. So most of you may not be able to see, but this goes 5, 10, 15, 20. I just would want you guys to do something like that, just to make sure you guys understood that it would go at 40. Any questions on that? Please let me know. This next one here, 28, which expression is equivalent? So this is written as q to the 4th, and then it's got -3 up here, and q to the -15. Now, I'm not sure if variables or exponents are going to be on there, but remember, if you have a negative power, you're supposed to take that power and flip it. So let's rewrite this. Let's multiply this out first. So that's q to the -12 over q to the -15. Then, ladies and gentlemen, you flip both of them. So to make this positive, it's q15 on top and q to the 12 on the bottom. Then what this is saying is like if I had x over x, okay, and then I had a bunch of them. X over x is 1, so you start eliminating these. What is 15 minus 12? You would be left with q to the 3rd, which is h. All right, what is the solution for this equation? You could graph it in Desmos, but ladies and gentlemen, I don't have the time to do that, so let's just solve it straight up, okay? So to make it easier, I'm going to, let's do the simple math on this. I'm going to add 4x, and we're going to add 4x this way, and then we're going to subtract 55 and subtract 55. Okay, so when we do that, these cancel out. This would be -45. Then this, ladies and gentlemen, would be 9x. And that would cancel out. So divide by 9, and as long as you never multiply or divide by negative, you would not switch the sign. So this would be -5, and I'm still going this way, x. So if it's x, I'm not eating the x, and in fact, I'm eating the -5. And that's the only one with -5 anyway, so yay, I got it right. This next equation here, which best graph represents a function that only has one solution? Which one has it? B. That's got 1. It comes down, touches, and goes back up. This is 2, that is 2, and this would actually be 0 solutions. Okay, so understand that setup. 26, which expression is a factor? Okay, so this would be slightly complicated. A quicker way to do this would be to be able to put this in Desmos and then read the equation. Okay, but most of you can't do that, so instead you got to do the factoring method. And factoring of this would be, remember, it's A times C over B. So your setup is going to be 21 times 20, which I believe is 420. Let me make sure I get that right. Yep. All right, so I know up here it's negative. It's -420, and it's going to be all over 13. So what two numbers would multiply together, oh boy, and then add in order to get it? So what you would want to do is you would want to test out a couple of these factors, okay? You would want to make sure that you could figure it out. You go from there. Let me see if I can do this using Desmos. So what I mean is, if you guys remember correctly, we would figure out the two numbers here. So what two numbers would multiply into 420 and be 13? Well, let's shoot for, if I did 10, it'd be 10 and 42. That's not even close. So 42 divided by, let's see, 14. 420 divided by 14, that's 30. 30 minus 14 is 17, so not quite. So 420 divided by 16? Nope. Oh, I got it. 420 divided by, so I got 28, and I got 15. But if this is positive, that means this is negative. So there's my setup. 28 minus 15 is 13. And then multiply them together, you get 420. So if you guys remember the setup on this, how it works is now you need to do the factoring setup, where it's the easy A method for some of you. If you remember correctly, how it works is it would be x, and then it's going to be plus 28. I'm not going to have enough room to write this. All right, let me take it down here real quick. All right, so my setup is going to be, let me take it below here. All right, it's going to be x plus 28, and then the other one is x minus 15. All right, now what you do is you take the A value, which is 21, and you divide it into both of these, just like this. The question is can you factor anything out or make them smaller? 28 over 21, can you make it smaller? Yes. What number divides into both? It would in fact be 7. So this would be x plus 4 over 3, which would in turn be 3x plus 4. So there's one setup. And do I see that up there? 3x plus 4? Nope. Dang it. So it's got to be the other one. So can I factor 3 out of here? Yes, I can. If I do that, it'd be x minus 5 over 7. I can't go any farther with that, so it'd be 7x minus 5 is my other setup. And B. So hopefully you guys understood how you did that. Now, could you use Desmos to do this? Yes, you could. But what you would have to know is this answer right here and what that fraction means. So if you were to go all in Desmos, this intersection would be 5 over 7. Which I don't know what that is in decimal form, but if I were to go into Desmos and graph it right now, I'm pretty sure I'd have a positive answer there. So this is one of the harder ones you guys got to make sure you can factor out. And please ensure that we work on that maybe a couple more times as you go through. What are the equations and slopes? Well, I know that this is going to be x is 6. So I know x equals 6 because every value is on the number 6. So this one and this one are gone. Then a vertical slope is undefined. Next, 28. Okay, as you move forward, 28 here. In the year 1900, 49,000 things of copper were produced, the total number of metric tons has increased on average by about 3.25. So if it's increased, it is exponential growth, which would be your equation of initial rate, and then it's 1 plus r to t. So if it looks like this, it cannot be these two because those are weird. And if it's growth, it's A. If it was decay, it technically would be B, but we didn't ask for decay, we asked for growth. 29, what is the solution? So instead of me trying to graph this in decimals and get the answer because it may not work, you have to actually solve these out. So I'm going to distribute the 3, and then we'll go from there. So this is going to be 34x plus 95 equals, that would be a 2 and a 4, yes, x, and that's going to be plus 27. All right, and then the aspect becomes, ladies and gentlemen, you would have to simplify the terms. Okay, so what I mean by that is, we'll go left. So we'll go negative 42, so I make it harder on myself. And then I'm going to take the negative, I'm going to take the 95 away from here, move it to the right. So my answers here would be, this would be 6, 7, 8, negative 8x. These cancel out, these cancel out, and then that, I can't do that one in my head that fast. It would be 95, I'm going to go 95 minus 27, which would be 68, but it's negative. All right, so my answer is negative 68. If I divide both sides by negative 8, then I have 68 divided by 8 is 17 over 2, or approximately 8.5. So, and it's a positive, so x equals 8.5. It also could be 8.5. Either one. 30, the graph of linear functions are shown on the grid. Which function best represents the graph? So this is a little bit more challenging. So what I want to make sure you guys understand is that f of x is actually just saying the number x. That's the graph. Okay, so now what it's asking is, tell me by doing the manipulation of it, does it change anything? So we take the x and let's subtract 4. Nope, that doesn't look like it. Okay, so we're trying to take the graph, we're tilting it a little bit. So what about 1/3 in front of it? So instead, I would get rid of this, put a little 1/3 in front of it. All right, 1/3, ooh, look what it did. Let's give it x again. Ladies and gentlemen, there you go. All right, minus 2 would actually drop it. Adding it by 3 would actually bring it up. So you just have to put it in decimals and figure it out. 31, which expression is equivalent to this? Well, ladies and gentlemen, you'd have to do the box method. Okay, so make sure, I'm going to use x because I don't want to use h. So let's go box, big box, split it up into 3 columns like this, x squared, 9x and negative 1, negative 4x, and 3. So I know right away I got negative 4x to the 3rd. So this one and this one are gone. So now what's my next step? Well, what are the square terms? So this would be negative 36 squared, and then this would be 3x squared. So what would be 3 and 36 together? It would actually be negative 36 plus 3 is 33. Do I got to go any further? Nope. Okay, use the process of elimination, and once you get to a variable, finish it. You don't have to finish it if you don't want to. Plates. There are 15 plates. So let me drag this over so we can read the whole problem here. And let me delete this. All right, so there are a couple plates here. When you're talking about those plate setups, it says there are 15 plates. They give you the diameter, and then it talks about how many are in the cabinet. So what you have to do is understand to keep the money together. Like when we do a money problem, I always tell everybody to keep the money together. We're doing a measurement problem, so keep the measurements together. So what I mean by that is if your total inch combined is 140 inches, you need to keep 140, 7, and 12 together. So what that means is that these need to be in the same equation. So it can't be this one. All right, it could be this one. And it could be this one, it could be that one. All right, so now you move on to what's the next piece? Well, it says that it's 7x. Okay, so do we have a 7x here? Yes. Here, yes. Here, no. Now what it's talking about is when you're looking at this, ask yourself which one of these two makes more sense. Well, total combined plates is just the number added together. So it'd be x plus y. So that is how you get C. Make sure you guys keep the units of measure or money together in an equation. Graph. This graph is showing what is the domain of this function. Ladies and gentlemen, the domain of a quadratic is always all real numbers. Going left to right is the domain. Remember, dx. 39. Which of the equation has this? What is the equation in the slope-intercept form of a line that passes through that point and is perpendicular to this equation? Well, ladies and gentlemen, remember, a perpendicular line is you take the slope, stupid thing, you take the slope, ladies and gentlemen, you flip it, and add a negative. So 2/5 flipped is 5/2, add a negative. So I know that it's not either one of these. So then the question becomes, which one is it for the other one? And the reality is I don't remember how to do the formula. So instead, what you'd want to do is go into decimal. So we'll graph the original. And so if you do the original here, it's going to be 2 divided by 5x. And that is plus 2. So if you do plus 2 like that, now I have the other one. So we know it's going to be negative 5/2x. So we know we have that aspect like that. Now the question is what is the back end of it? Is it -3 or +3? And the point is it goes through 2, -2. So I'm just going to tack on here a -3. And I know it's supposed to go through -2, 2. If I tag on, so it looks like it's going through -2, 2. Because if I tag on a +3, it's actually going the opposite direction and it's nowhere close to any of those equations. So the answer, ladies and gentlemen, would be this one. All right, 2, -2. Actually, let me rephrase that. 2/-2, I said it was the wrong one. It's actually the +1. So that's what happens when you don't read. So it's actually the +1. So make sure you guys understand that concept and don't what I just did. When you're doing it and going along with the aspect, make sure that you guys do the correct number as well. 34 is pretty simple. It's not that simple, but make sure you guys understand that the area of a rectangle is this. The length is 6 feet greater than the width. It's a situation like this. What is the width of the trampoline? Well, ladies and gentlemen, we need to know what the W is. So what you would do is go into decimals and you would simply just graph it. Okay, so when it comes here, you can't do W, so do x squared, and it's x squared plus 6x. Whoops. And then it's going to be minus 112. Holy cow. Plus 6x minus 112. Okay, so there's your answer. Now, it does say equals 0. You can do that, but remember one aspect of it, okay? When you do equals 0, that when it comes time to, when you're in AzMerit, decimals may not let you do this. So if you back it out, you would just see where it intersects. It's the same thing. So I got 8 here. If I put it equals 0, it's going to be 8. Now, it's giving me 2 points. But what is the reality? The reality is you're not going to have a negative width. Okay, the reality is you're going to have a positive width of 8, or the number of W is going to be 8. Okay, so the length of a trampoline is 6 feet greater than the width of the trampoline. This situation is represented by this. What is the width of the trampoline? Well, ladies and gentlemen, you know that the width is 8 because the length would be 6 feet greater, which would be 14. So the length is greater than the width. The length would be 14. The width is actually your answer of 8. We wouldn't represent W with width. Okay, hopefully you guys understand that. That's one reason we use alphanumeric sequences like this, is the W would be the width. Okay, if we want to know the length of it, it would be kind of translated the other way. But know that your answer is, in fact, 8. Next, last page, ladies and gentlemen, we are done. How would you answer this? Just graph it. 2 with a little 5 squared. So set this up. It would be 2 bracket 5, and then you would not do that one, but in fact, you would just go a little x right here. Just like that. So there's my equation. Let me go home so I get a bigger view of it. So the question is what graph looks like that? Well, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like by looking at this intersection here, I'm intersecting at 2. And if I'm intersecting at 2, that's like way down there. That's weird. There's 10. It can't be this one. This one here is close. It can't be this one. That's too high. That's at 5. So the question then becomes, which way, how far out does it go? So at 2, am I looking at, I'm going to look at point 2 on the x and see where I'm at. So if I go out a little bit here, and if I go on point 2, 2 is equivalent to 50. So on my graph here, if I go over 2, am I going to be at 50? So if I go over 2, I'm at 5 here. So this can't be the answer, but in fact, if I go over 2, it looks like I hit 50 right there, so that's my graph. So make sure after you get the initial setup that you just pick a random point that is different than both, and you go from there. Okay, this question 35. What is the rate of change for the savings account from week to week? Well, you would just use your calculator. Now, if you want to put in 39 minus 32 over 1 minus 0, go ahead and do it. But what's the difference between here? The rate of change is $7 per week. If you want to test that, you could, where there's 2 weeks in between here, and 7 plus 7 is 14, and from 39 to 53 is in fact $14. 36. The graph of the linear function is shown on the grid. Which equation best represents the graph? So, ladies and gentlemen, you could put this in Desmos, or you could understand what this equation is. It's the slope, it is the point slope form, which is y1. It is y minus y1 equals m x minus x1. So there's your equation. So what is my slope? My slope is going to be, looks like it's a negative because it's going down left to right. So I know it's going down. It can't be these two. And then I'm given a point. One of my points is 4, and that's positive 4, by the way. So over 4, up 7. Or actually, I'm sorry, it's over 4. And then since it's positive, it's actually down. So negative 4, down 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I go over, I got a point right there. And then the other one would be over negative 1. So it's be, the y would be negative 1. So it'd be down. And then my x is a negative 2. So because that's positive, so ladies and gentlemen, that point is negative 2, negative 1. That is right here. And that is not on the line. So my answer is A. Remember, sometimes you get a 50-50 shot. And if you get yourself half a chance, you should succeed. Which expression is a factor of this following? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this into Desmos because I don't feel like answering this one straight up. So let's put it in Desmos. 9x squared. And then it's going to be minus 4x. So remember one thing. You guys have to use your setup. And then it's going to be, sorry, there's a glare coming off the window over there, plus 1. So I graph it. Let me go home on here and look. It doesn't never actually cross the x-axis. So ladies and gentlemen, there are no factors. Can't factor that one. The graph is shown on the grid. Which ordered pair is a solution? So what you want to do is, that's great to show you in the graph, put this in Desmos. Figure it out. Okay, so it would be 2x. Alright, so it's 2x minus 5. Whoops. I thought I hit it, but I wasn't sure. And then it's going to be is greater than, go What's a 10? So when I put that in like that, here's my setup. So I see that in reality, it's the line and everything south of it. So what is the solution point? They got 0, 5. Is that an answer? Well, if I go over 0 on 5 and it's equal to it, 0, 5. That would be 0 up 5. That can't be an answer. Okay. What about 5, 0? Over 5 to 0? That is an answer. Okay. Now, sometimes they may have multiples. So let me make sure. Negative 2, 5. If I'm looking at this, negative 2, 5, that can't be 1. And negative 5, 2 is also not 1. So please make sure, though, that sometimes you'll have like an E, F, and even a G, and you could have more than one answer. Okay, so what you'd want to do is make sure you go along the axis, figure it out, and go from there. 39 talks about bacteria. So this is going to look really weird. Let me erase some of this, because I need to drag this over so we can read the problem. 39. All right, it says here, scientists are studying bacteria. The function is given. The number of bacteria in a sample. Which statement is the best interpretation of one of the values of the function? So you're looking at the function. This is exponential growth. Remember where this is A, initial amount. Okay, it's the initial amount. 1 plus. So it's growth, so it's plus. And the 0.12 would be the rate, which would be 12%. How did I get that? Because it's 1 plus 0.12. That would be 12%, and then X is time. So the initial bacteria is 12. Nope. Initial number of bacteria decreases. Nope. The number of bacteria increases at a rate of 12% per day, or the number of bacteria at the end of day 1 was 245. Who knows what that is? The answer is, in fact, H. It increases by 12%. 40. Daily cost of hiring a plumber to work X hours can be modeled using a linear function. He charges a fixed cost of $80 plus an additional cost of $45 per hour, and he only works 8 hours a day for a given day of work. What is the range of the function of this situation? Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you're trying to find out the daily cost, you know your initial cost is going to be at least $80 because that's how much it costs for him to come out. Which one of these starts with 80? There's only one. B. How would you figure out the rest? Well, your range would be, what would be 45 times 8? So I don't know what that number is. Put it in a calculator and then add 80 to it, which is why it is 440. Okay, so just understand that your aspect of that. Okay, so it is not this one because he starts at 8. Now, making sure I got that right. Let me make sure. Hold on. Let me check my math real quick. Because I'm making sure, so it would be 45 times 8 is 360. Okay, good. 360 plus 80 is 440. So I was making sure I got the right numbers. Because I'm looking at this thinking, what is that? All right, so your answer would be, in fact, B. Ladies and gentlemen, this was a very hard and long review. If you did well on most of this, and you could get at least 50% right, then you're close to being proficient. If you struggled and couldn't get none of this, then the struggle needs to be is making sure you guys can elevate yourself as we go forward. We're going to have 2 more of these style reviews, and they're all worth a quiz grade. Now that I've given you this answer, you guys should get 100% on this, and that'll elevate all of your grades as we move forward. If you have any questions, come see me in class. Otherwise, study up and good luck, guys.